Riding motorcycles is the greatest thing in the world, and I think everyone should be able to do it at some point during their life. But if you're going to do it, there are certain rules and dogmas that must not be breached. As Uncle Ben did say, microwave the rice for 2 minutes and then serve with steaming vegetables and any stir-in sauce and meat of your choice. He also said, with great power comes great responsibility. Can you tell I've been playing the Spider-Man games a lot recently? So in today's video, I'm going to offer my advice to any new riders that want to take up this, quite frankly, terrific hobby, and just give you my takes on the do's and the don'ts, in my humble opinion. So of course, take these, as you will anything on the internet, with a pinch of salt. But let's go for a ride and chat about it, shall we? So as I just said, like, I am just some random lad on the internet who you've never met before, and who claims to have your best interests at heart at the same time while trying to sell you something. Not to say that that's what everyone... no, okay, I'll start that again because that's incredibly harsh sounding. Look, yes, I am just some fella on the internet who you've never met. Let's just be careful. There we go. Who has just been riding bikes for a while and wants everyone to be able to get out and do it safely. But that's going to be my first kind of my first point to make. Is that a lot of times, especially in the social media age, shall we call it, which makes me sound like an incredibly old man, which I am. I'm 35, so give me some leeway on my terminology. Everyone seems to be trying to do stuff for like for clout or for views or for clicks or whatever the hell you want to call it, which is fair enough. That's how folk make a living these days. Funnily enough, that's how I make my living, not doing this specifically, but in that sphere. So I get it, I understand. But when it comes to something like safety and advice, I think it's important that you kind of put all that aside and try and educate people as best you can. Because it's something that's obviously incredibly important. Like, fair enough, stuff like, you know, you're reviewing a jacket or you're reviewing a pair of jeans, whatever, you can, you know, the brand's slipping you a couple of quid, you can kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerate a tad and say, oh, it's the best jacket ever, these are the best jeans ever, blah, blah, blah. And it's not really that big an issue. But when it comes to stuff like I say, giving people advice who are putting their trust in you, I think it's only fair that you show them the same respect and give them the best sort of advice you can, which is where I am going to start. Whoa, Jesus. See? I'm not even following my own advice there. This is an absolute pain of a turn-in though, to be fair, so... There you go. How ironic. See, obviously the first piece of advice I have for you, I'm going to try and break this down into sections, I think. The first one is just general kind of getting started and the best kind of way to go about it. Then probably talk about gear, and then, I don't know, maintenance or something. Thoroughly exciting stuff, I think you would agree. But obviously, when you're starting out, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, of course. That's the main reason why you should start doing anything. Whether it be riding bikes or or going to the gym or whatever it is. Make sure you're doing it because you want to do it, not because you feel like you kind of have to. And I'll admit, when I was young, I grew up in a house with a family that were bike mad. That's just the way it was. I grew up around bikes all my life. My dad raced a bit when he was younger. He worked for race teams. There's always been bikes around. All of his mates ride bikes. So it was kind of the culture that we were, myself and my brother were kind of born into. And I don't know if it was outwardly said, look, this is kind of going to be something that you're going to do. Because it was never kind of pressured upon us, but it was kind of, a sort of underlying implication, like your man Dennis from Always Sunny, except without the actual threat. I don't know. I've never seen Always Sunny. I've just seen it in meme form. But it turns out, it just so happens that now that I do actually, I've got to that age where I ride bikes. It's one of my favourite things in the world to do, so it worked out well. But if you're a young lad or a young lady, and you see it on bloody Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you think, oh, that looks so cool, blah blah blah. Yes, it does, because it is. But that's from a biased opinion, as someone who enjoys motorcycles. But do it because you want to do it. Not, of course, I think everyone should give it a try, because how will you know if you like it unless you give it a try? But don't do it just because you think it's going to make you look like king shit, you know what I mean? So that'd be my first kind of bit of advice. Make sure you're doing it because you want to and you have the right reasons for it. And then obviously when you do start to get a bit more serious and you look for someone to do your CBT with, which you have to do in the UK, you have to do a CBT course. No matter what age you are, I had to do one when I got my license, and I think I was 30 when I started doing my CBT. It was during COVID, and I wasn't at work, so I figured that would be the time to legally get my license. So you have to do it no matter what age you are if you're starting. Make sure you get someone who is trusted and accredited, more to the point. And you can't, if you're worrying about your CBT, obviously take it seriously, because, well, you have to. Otherwise, your instructor will just tell you to piss off if you're not going to take it seriously. But you can't really fail a CBT. You're there to learn. It's compulsory basic training. Training is the word. It's not an exam. You're there to learn. And the instructors, that's what they're there for. They're there to teach you. And they're there to make sure that you can do everything safely, and to make sure you're confident on the bike. If you've never been on a bike before, they will do their best to make you feel as comfortable. What is going on here, boys? I know this is a 60. Make you feel as comfortable as you can. Get the skills that you need, your basic skills such as slaloms, figure of eights, pushing the bike, basic road safety, basic how to read the road, all that sort of stuff. So don't be, of course you're going to be nervous, because you try anything new, you're going to be nervous, whether it be a new job, anything. It's just human nature for a lot of people. For me especially, I worry about everything. But you're not being, there's no judgment being passed. They see, that's their job. When there's new people coming in every day in the same situation as you. There'll be plenty of people in the same group as you. You're all in the same situation. So there's no need, you're not comparing yourself to anybody. You're there to learn. So what happens when you get your CBT? Grand job, you've got your CBT. That allows you to get a 125 and you can ride on the road. When you've got to that stage, the best advice I can give you, obviously, is ride as much as you can. That's how you get better, that's how you learn new things, is to get out and do it. Which sounds obvious, I know, but it's easy to get complacent whenever whenever you have the accreditation or the piece of paper that says you can do this thing. It's human nature to kind of go, oh well, that's it, I don't need to, this piece of paper says I know how to do it, so therefore I don't need to learn anything else. And that has a lot to do with ego, which in the motorcycle space, I guess you could call it, ego plays a huge part. It's a big downfall for a lot of people, myself included. Like, we all fall victim to it. But you have to keep yourself in check and go and think, this is to be taken seriously. Obviously it's for fun. Motorcycling is fun at the end of the day. It's the best fun you can have, in my opinion.
I was going to say with clothes on, but you know, there's been some times where that hasn't been the case. So you have to learn, you have to know what you're doing, and the more you do something, obviously, the more comfortable you're going to get, because that is a big thing. You have to be comfortable. The nerves will always kind of be there, especially in the early going. You're going to be nervous because, especially if you drive, fair enough, it might not be as jarring. But if you've never driven before, or you've never been on the road before, and this is your first time, yes, it can be terrifying. So get out as much as you possibly can. If you know someone, if you have a family member who rides, ask them to come out with you. They'll be more than happy to. Any excuse for to get out on the bikes, and anyone will take it. And on that kind of note, when you've passed your CBT and you're starting out for the first time, stick to roads that you know would be my best advice. Because if you know where you're going and you know, that's one less thing to worry about. If you know where all the junctions lead, if you know what lane you should be in, for example, you're not having to think, that's something less for you to think about. It'll be automatic. You'll know that side it'll just be you worrying about what you're doing with the controls and actually riding the bloody thing. That would be my kind of in and up. The TLDR of that is do it for the right reasons. Get a good CBT instructor. Oh, and get a bike that's no. This is where that ego thing comes in again. Especially with a 125 or your first bike, right? You're not going to keep it very long, for the most part. A lot of people will. It's a means to an end. You do your CBT and you ride a 125 so you can get your full license eventually. Now, obviously, in the UK, licensing is an absolute faff, and it's one of the main reasons putting young riders off, because of the amount of bullshittery you have to go through in regards to different licenses, different levels. You can ride this, you can't ride that. You can ride this, but you have to restrict it. It's a bloody minefield. I was lucky when I did mine. I was over the age of 24 or 25, whatever the age is now, where you could just do direct access, which saves a lot of hassle. But yeah, for the most part, you're doing your CBT so you can move up the licenses. So you're not going to keep it for very long. So my advice for that would be don't buy brand new. Don't buy brand new from a dealer, as far as if you can help it. The market is flooded with 125s because everyone has to learn on them. That's the whole point. So the market's flooded. You're going to find something that works for you. Secondhand, or even if it's at a dealer, they'll have a load of secondhand stuff, which might not be the worst way to go if you're intent on buying from a dealer, because then you'll obviously have the options for warranties and servicing and all that carry on. But if you're going to buy something brand spanking new, I would advise against it for a 125, because, like I say, it's just going to be moved on in fairly short order. So there you go. You've got your CBT, you've got your bike, you're out on the road, you're practicing, you're loving life. Now you're doing your licenses. I'm just going to assume that you've gone through all the licensing and you're getting up to that stage where you're doing your full license now. So you'll have to do, obviously, no, I really should have looked this up. This is on me. In regards to what you have to do when you're getting your A2, your A1 and all that sort of stuff before you go onto your A license in the UK. I don't know if you have to do your on-road and your off-road and a theory 3 times, if that makes sense. So you'd have to do so obviously it's the same with the car. You have to do a theory test. Now, I don't know if you have to do that just the once for your A. If you do that once, then that kind of carries over, or if you have to keep doing it. That's on me, I should have looked that up. But for someone who did direct access, it was like doing a car test. I did my theory test, and then you do your on-road test and your off-road tests, your mod 1 and your mod 2, which are nerve-wracking, because those are tests, those are exams, and you are being monitored. So that is nervous, especially, as I say, for someone like me who worries about bloody everything. But okay, you've got all your licenses, you've done all the licenses, you've done all the stuff, you've got your license. Happy days, hurrah! The world is your oyster, even though oysters are disgusting, and I don't know why. That's a terrible metaphor. Or simile? It's a metaphor. It's maybe not either. I don't know. I didn't do too good in the English classes. I have a media degree, so that tells you everything you need to know about me. So now comes the time to buy your first bike. After your first, so now you can ride whatever you want. And this is where that ego thing comes in again. For the love of God, if you've just passed your test and you're thinking about going out and buying a CBR 1000 or an S1000RR or a Gixxer 1000, any big kind of liter sports bike, I would strongly advise against it. One because it's a bloody sports bike. They're for the most part they're homologated race bikes for a lot of things. And two, you'll never get insured on it, or if you do, the insurance will be astronomical. So from a financial point of view, it's not viable. It makes no sense. So my advice, obviously, is to get something. Obviously, you want something that you're going to open the garage and want to ride, because that's just kind of. Obviously, if you're spending the money on something, you want it to be something that you're going to open the garage door and go, yes, this is my thing. I love this thing, which is the case with me in this MT-09 every day. But there's plenty. That's the great thing about modern motorcycling. There's so many different styles that'll fit any taste that anyone has. If you're in your naked bikes, my God, the market is there's literally hundreds. Sports bikes, cruisers, adventure bikes, everything is catered for. So you will find something that you like. And that's not to say that a 600 or a 750 or something of that ilk isn't going to be isn't like everything is fast. They're built for speed. The bike, any bike you ride, you could be riding, as I say, an S1000RR or a Panigale V4. It's only going to go as fast as your right wrist tells it to. And you can only go 60 on a public road anyway. So they're kind of. Yeah, of course. Would I have a Panigale V4 if I could afford one? Absolutely, I would. Do I need a Panigale V4? Absolutely not. I'm lucky that I have this bike that I use on the road, which is plenty powerful. It's plenty fun. It does everything I need it to do. It's fast. Like, it's got plenty of power. It's light. It pulls like an absolute bloody train. It pulls better than I do, which is why I'm a single man. Like I said, there'll be styles. Every style is catered for. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll have no bother finding what it is that you want to ride. But get something that's going to be practical. Get something that you can afford. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Because it's all well and good you buying the thing, but then if it's sitting in the garage and you can't afford to tax and insure it, then what's the point? You know what I mean? And for example, say if you had your heart set on, say, we'll take the MT range for an example. You really want an MT10. Who doesn't? They're class. But the MT-07 it's just as fun. Is it as fast? No, but it doesn't need to be. And it'll be an excellent platform to learn on, because that's the main thing now. Now you'll have more power, you'll have more torque, it's a completely different. Whilst the fundamental skills are the same, the experience is going to be completely different the first time you go out on something new. My first bike after I passed my test was a Honda. It was a ZB400 Super 4, which was my brother's bike. I bought it off him. He had just bought a Thundercat, so I bought his bike. And I had that bike for about a year, I think. And to learn on, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Now, the only thing was, it was a bit short for me. I'm 6'2". That was the only thing, but it was comfortable. It did everything I needed it to do, and it was an excellent learning tool. Then after that, I bought a VFR 750, which was a fantastic bike. Absolutely loved it. The sound of that thing, with the gear-driven cams, it was magnificent. I wish I'd never sold it. But if I hadn't sold it, then I couldn't have bought this thing. So yeah, so I'm waffling here, but I'm just trying to kind of, can you tell I've not scripted anything? Just make sure what you're getting, you're able to afford, and you're able to ride safely, is the main kind of thing of what I'm getting at. Do not, for the love of, and yes, as I say, ego is going to play a part. You know, it might not be the thing that you necessarily want, or if you've got mates who ride and they have stuff that they've been riding longer, and they have something that's different and that looks cooler or faster or bigger or whatever, who cares? As long as you're happy with what you have, it's not what you ride, it's just that you ride. And as long as you can learn, and then in a couple of years' time, you can work towards the thing that you want to get. You know, because especially in the UK, riding season isn't the longest. So you'll only be out on it for about 5 months at an absolute stretch, unless you ride all year round, which if you do, fair play to you. So you're not going to be on it all the time. So, you know, it's if you want to satisfy the ego, you can that way, you know. But that's the biggest kind of obstacle for a lot of people, is ego, and you have to put your ego aside. There's a couple of lads out. Always wave to your fellow bikers as well. That's another, just a little thing, just because we're all part of the same kind of crew. Moving on to, what was I going to, but yes, right, you've bought the bike, excellent. You can't just go out in shorts and a t-shirt. Well, you can, but you'll be mocked relentlessly, and it's not exactly the safest way to go about things. I am very much a proponent of all the gear all the time. Yes, I know it's incredibly boring, but what's even more boring is having to sit for 6 weeks with a broken arm because you fell off your bike and you can't ride it because you didn't put a bloody jacket on. Motorcycle gear has never been more readily available, but in that regard, it's never been more it's never been easier for companies that aren't the most reliable, shall we say, to pump out any old shite and put some fancy advert out and say this is the best thing ever. Now, I'm not obviously affiliated with anyone in any way, because I'm just not. It's just a tiny channel. I only do this for fun, in between my regular job, as you can probably tell by my upload schedule. But I have never had any issues with RST. If you're starting out in regards to jackets, gloves, any of that stuff, obviously there's plenty of brands. If you want to spunk 600 quid on a Dainese jacket or an Alpine Star jacket, go ahead. If you can afford that, I wish I could, but it's not necessary. All my jackets are RST, my textile and my leather jacket. This hoodie, no, funnily enough, this is I'm gonna tell on myself here a little bit. This hoodie is like, it's an eBay special, right? Because we've had a heat wave in this country and it's too hot for a jacket, but I still wanted to be protected. So it is it's an armoured hoodie. But even at that, the armour that was in it when I bought it was essentially foam padding, which was, you might as well have spit for the amount of protection it was going to do. So I bought additional armour to go in it. I bought a DXR back pad, and I bought some D3O shoulder armour. And even that was only about 30 quid extra. So all in on this hoodie, I'm about 60 quid in, and I feel protected. Is it the ideal situation? Like, there's no Kevlar in it, which is probably not the best idea, but I don't really want to test the slide integrity of it. But like I say, there's plenty of reputable brands. Like, I'm just using RST as an example because it's what I use, because it's affordable and it's never steered me wrong. But there are plenty of affordable brands. Don't feel like you have to buy an AGV helmet or, like I said, Alpine Stars jacket, as long as it will protect you. Don't, for the love of God, don't buy your gear off Wish or Temu. For God's sake, use a reputable dealer, or I use Sports Bike Shop for everything that I buy. If it's something that my local dealer doesn't have in stock. But a helmet and gloves, you cannot go without. Now, I have two helmets. I have this Shark Squall that I wear for this sort of carry-on because I can stick a load of stuff to it and I don't really mind, because I've had it for a good while now and it's still, I feel comfortable in it. I'll just pop this visor because, good God, it's getting a bit stuffy. And then I have a SJC helmet for track. And that might be a video idea, is to run you through all the gear that I have for both road and track. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yes, reputable brands, please. And just because, and I know I said that there's plenty of brands that shovel out useless shite that isn't worth the material used to make it. But expensive doesn't always equal best, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as in my humble opinion. I know I sound like I'm kind of contradicting myself, kind of when I say, but reputable brands do cheaper items, and there's always sales on. You know what I mean? On these dealerships, because new stock is constantly coming in. Sorry. So there's no excuse for not getting good gear, as far as I'm concerned. No excuse at all. God, we may be here for a while, so I hope you like if you're interested in a Renault Master and you really want to see what the back of it looks like, then this is the video for you. And I don't understand why you wouldn't get good gear. Like, the only person you're hurting if you buy crap gear is yourself. So I don't know why you wouldn't just invest in a good quality helmet and gloves and jackets and stuff. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Plus, if you graduate to having to do, if you want to do track days and stuff, you will need a helmet of, like, they will check the quality of your gear in a lot of places, so it just makes sense. Just pay once and buy quality. Right, so we have the bike, we have the gear, we have the licenses. Maintenance, that is the last thing I'll talk about, because I've been whittering on for a while and I don't know if I've actually said anything of any use to anyone. So if you have any questions, do post them in the comments, and I'll try and answer in a much more succinct and more in-depth manner, because I'm just rambling here. Maintenance. Now, I am not a mechanically minded man, but I figure if you're going to own the thing, you're going to have to kind of learn how to keep it running, if you know what I mean. So now, like I say, if there was any catastrophic engine failure, I have no idea. I'm completely screwed. I'll just go in the corner and cry, like any self-respecting grown man would. But in regards to a servicing I think that's the kind of basic. If you can do that, that'll stand you in good stead. Like an oil change, coolant change, just lubing your chain, that sort of stuff. It's like little things that people seem to forget about for whatever reason. Checking your tire pressures. These are important things, and they're not hard to do. Changing oil filters, changing air filters, especially in the modern day, as it were. There are so many. That's the good thing about YouTube being as prevalent as it is. No matter what bike you own, someone will have done a tutorial on how to service it. So there's so many resources out there to help. So there's not really much of an excuse. But once you do it once, you know how to do it. Easy as. Now, as I say, there's stuff that even now that I'm intimidated to attempt to do. But that's where luckily for me, I have someone who has been working on bikes their entire life, and as I say, as my dad, he used to work for a couple of BSB teams and stuff, and he's been working on his own bikes and other people's bikes for as long as I can remember. So he has a pretty good idea of how to fix most things. So I'm very lucky in that regard. But there will come a day where I'll have to, do it myself. So, well, hopefully nothing's going to go wrong for a good while, and it'll just be basic things that I'll have to do, such as a service. But that's like lubing a chain. That's not hard. It does the work for you. Checking your tire pressures. That's not hard. And yes, I understand it's easy to forget to do these things, because God knows I've forgotten as well. I can't say I'm no saint in that regard. But yeah, if you do the little things, then it'll stand you in good stead, I think. Right, well, we've pretty much come to the end of my witterings and wafflings, which I'm sure you're all very, very happy to hear. Yeah, I hope that this has been of some kind of relevance to anyone who's starting out on this journey. Look, once you get on two wheels, it's the best. It's so fun, and it's well worth all the effort. But just because you've got all the licenses and the accreditation to say that you can do it, doesn't mean that you can ever stop learning. I learn every day. Everything to do with bikes is fun. Researching whatever, just going on Marketplace or Gumtree, or as much as there is some crap on there, it's just fun just to look at stuff and learn about it and consume content. And if you are consuming content on the internet, make sure it's from trusted sources and not someone just trying to sell you stuff, or some gimp with no shirt on a motorway doing wheelies, because that's how it kind of tars a lot of us with the same brush, and that's why a lot of people think that bikes are dangerous and that bikers don't care or have no well-being for other road users and all that sort of stuff. That's not what motorcycling is, right? That's just some dickhead being a dickhead. I mean, if you want to do that, go for it, but you're kind of I'm not going to be your mate, put it that way, which I'm sure is devastating for you, but so yeah, as I say, I hope some of this was of some kind of relevance. I came into this video thinking if I can cover those three kind of bases, then I'll have said pretty much everything that I wanted to say. But I realise I have been waffling on for a long time. And I'm just some random guy on the internet that you've never met before. You don't have to listen to me, of course you don't. But I hope some of it was of some kind of relevance and use to you. And as I say, if you do have any more kind of pressing questions, let me know in leave me a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, with hopefully a more in-depth and less rambly answer. So in the meantime, thank you all very much for taking the time out to watch. Apologies for if you happen to be a regular viewer for some reason. I don't upload on this channel very often because as I say, I work in the content creation space, if you want to call it, as my day job, and the last thing I want to do is bloody edit more videos. But it's an as and a when thing. I feel like if I have something relevant kind of to add to the conversation, then I'll do it. I don't want to just bloody stick a camera on and talk nonsense and stick it on the internet, because God knows there's enough people doing that. And here I am waffling on and talking nonsense. Right, I'm gonna go. Enjoy your bikes. Just enjoy. Just get on the bike and ride, especially in this weather, for all half an hour that we have left of it in Northern Ireland. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.